Rethinking procedures for a digital-first industrial landscape. Procedures are the backbone of safe and reliable operations. But when they're not maintained properly, the impact can cascade through every layer of an operation, exposing the business to costly compliance issues. ReVisionz helps the owner-operators we serve turn procedures into living tools that actively shape performance. By replacing static, paper-based methods with integrated digital systems, we make it possible for teams to access accurate guidance whenever and wherever it's needed. The result is a more connected and accountable approach to work execution that adapts as conditions change and strengthens both operational and business outcomes. The conversation about paper versus digital procedures isn't theoretical anymore. Facilities relying on manual paper processes operate under growing risk in an environment where regulations are tightening and technology is interwoven into every workflow. With that said, shifting to digital is a strategic move that sharpens performance and protects the bottom line. The role of facility procedures. For some background context, facility procedures form the link between the way a plant operates on paper and the way it performs in reality. They define how people interact with equipment, respond to unexpected conditions, and keep production moving without creating unnecessary risk. In a high-stakes environment, procedures that reflect current conditions give teams the clarity to act with confidence. Those that do not introduce conflicting methods and weaken the safeguards built into the operation. The difference between the two comes down to how well procedures are maintained and how closely they reflect the facility as it is today, not as it was when the documents were first written. The limits of paper-based procedures. Even the most skilled workforce is only as effective as the information it follows. In many facilities, that information still lives in paper binders or static Word files tucked away in offices and control rooms. These formats were once considered reliable, but in today's evolving environment, they create more obstacles than support. Paper can only tell part of the story, and usually it tells the wrong one. The impact shows up in multiple ways. Operational gaps. Updates to paper and static files must be distributed by hand or email, and outdated versions linger unnoticed in work areas for months. When this happens, entire teams can follow instructions that no longer match reality. Access is another weakness. A binder in a supervisor's office offers little help to someone troubleshooting an issue on the far side of the facility. The problem is magnified when critical details are buried in dense, unsearchable text. In urgent situations, time spent paging through a manual can mean the difference between resolution and escalation. Compliance challenges. Regulators expect precision, currency, and clear traceability. Meeting these expectations is much harder when information must be pieced together manually. Audits that could be straightforward with a centralized system instead are time-consuming exercises in paperwork, leaving more room for gaps or errors to slip through. Inconsistency across teams. When procedures are cumbersome to revise or distribute, practices drift. Experienced workers may rely on memory instead of checking the document, while new hires might follow instructions that are months or years out of date. Over time, these small deviations grow into major inconsistencies that impact the ability to replicate best practices across the operation. The moment to rethink procedure management. Procedures have long been the foundation of efficient operations, but the environment they serve has changed. Facilities now operate in tightly connected, data-rich systems where one decision can influence safety, compliance, and performance far beyond its point of origin. Moving procedures into a digital environment reshapes how work is executed and sustained. The most pressing drivers for this shift include rising operational complexity. Facilities today function as living networks where a single adjustment to equipment or a process can set off a chain reaction across operations. Without a central source that can be updated instantly, small inaccuracies spread and gradually weaken procedural consistency. The role of AI. AI now accelerates transformation by converting legacy documents into structured formats and suggesting improvements based on best practices. This makes it possible to scale modernization across entire facilities or networks while maintaining quality and regulatory alignment. Higher regulatory scrutiny. Regulators now expect proof that procedures are current and applied as intended. Digital platforms capture this automatically, showing when changes were made, who signed off, and how they are being followed. Paper systems make this a manual and resource-heavy exercise that pulls attention away from day-to-day priorities. Shifting workforce dynamics. The retirement of seasoned operators can leave a gap that written manuals cannot fill. Digital procedures capture their expertise in a format that is easy to share and update. This keeps proven practices active in the field, even as roles change and new personnel step in. The need for speed and mobility. Market shifts, new regulations, and unplanned incidents can require immediate changes. Field teams need those updates without delays caused by retrieving physical copies. Digital systems deliver updated instructions instantly to any location, which keeps work aligned with the latest requirements. A digital approach to procedures gives leaders real-time visibility into how work is carried out and closes the gap between process design and execution in the field. It also preserves critical expertise before it disappears by turning procedures into a living asset that strengthens both safety and performance. For organizations in high-risk, capital-intensive sectors, that kind of visibility is a decisive advantage. The strategic value of digital. The pressures driving change in procedure management signal a lasting shift in how facilities protect safety, maintain compliance, and keep operations stable. This is why ReVisionz treats procedure management as a cornerstone of operational resilience. Our deep operational, engineering, and HSE expertise allows us to tailor each implementation to the structure of the facility by creating solutions that are both technically sound and practical for field use. This gives leaders greater control over execution and creates visibility into how work is actually being performed. By making procedures living assets that are current and traceable, we help our clients cut downtime and reduce the conditions that lead to incidents. Additionally, built-in checks guide teams toward consistent execution, and analytics point to areas where adjustments will yield better results. The outcome is an operational framework that can adapt quickly and compete effectively in a demanding market. How we build a digital procedure framework. Every facility has procedures, but not all have systems that make those procedures effective in the moments they matter most. ReVisionz approach focuses on building a framework that is practical in the field, sustainable over time, and aligned with both operational and regulatory realities. We begin by looking at how procedures function in the real world, including how they are created and applied in day-to-day work. This reveals where inefficiencies or risks originate and where digital transformation will have the greatest impact. Key steps in our process include contextual assessment, mapping how procedures move across teams, identifying bottlenecks, and understanding the factors that influence consistent execution. Content standardization, aligning procedures with regulatory requirements while accommodating the unique needs of the site or organization. Digital integration, migrating content into a centralized platform that connects with existing systems and provides embedded safety prompts, validation steps, and complete change histories. Smart accessibility, structuring procedures in searchable formats that deliver critical instructions in seconds while preventing outdated versions from circulating. Sustained accuracy, embedding governance processes and analytics that keep content current as operational demands evolve. This approach turns procedures into a living system that drives precision while reducing operational friction and sustaining value long after implementation. Business impact. Moving procedures into a robust digital framework can reshape how an organization manages risk and captures value from its operations. Rather than relying on static documents that lose relevance over time, teams are able to work from living instructions that adapt as the business landscape evolves. Regulatory reviews will shift from reactive, time-consuming efforts to proactive demonstrations, and updates will reach the people who need them without delay. The data produced by everyday use will give leaders a sharper view of where operations strain under pressure or where small adjustments could deliver significant returns. These insights can inform decisions that reduce costly interruptions, strengthen asset reliability, and capture efficiencies that accumulate over years of consistent performance. In this way, digital procedure management will not only safeguard compliance and safety, but also generate measurable, lasting advantages in productivity and profitability. Act before risks. Escalate. The shift to digital procedures has become a defining step for facilities that want to remain resilient in a volatile industrial environment. Paper-based systems may seem manageable in the short term, but over time they allow small inaccuracies to accumulate into costly problems. ReVisionz works alongside clients to create procedure systems that are built for accuracy and adaptability. Our role is not only to implement technology, but to guide transformation so it delivers lasting value across the organization. We bring the structure and industry knowledge needed to navigate every stage of this process. If your facility is ready to replace outdated processes with a connected, intelligent system, we can help you take that step with confidence. Get in touch with one of our experts today.